Hello, welcome to the Matthew Allton Art channel again. I'm going to return to some life drawing. Haven't done any for a while. I've been doing portraits for a short while, and I've also been doing charcoal for a while, so I'm going to return to some pencil sketching today. So I'm going to be using a photo that I took of a model a few years ago. I'll probably use a few of these photos over the next few pieces of work. So suited male nude today. Okay, let's see how we get on. Well, you can see that I'm using the Nick Pro mechanical pencils that I bought from Amazon. I'll put a link to those in the video description if you want to buy them. They're really good. You can see that I'm using one of the soft thick leads pencils, and I'm being quite light in terms of pressing on the paper. I'm using trying to fill a sketchbook page as well, which I haven't done for a while. So the sketchbook's been going since 2022 and it's still not full, but I'm getting there. I've done a lot this year. You can see that I'm just trying to get the proportions of the figure accurate. I wanted to take a bit more time on this sketch than I often do. I'm sort of often trying to do something within about an hour, and this I'm trying to take a bit more time with. You can begin to see the pose of the model here, sitting cross-legged with his arms on his knees. Very good example of a foreshortened forearm there on the right hand side of the picture, his left forearm. Of course, it's quite a small figure. It's an A4 sketch pad, so quite small to get any detail in. And of course, you can see from the poses it's emerging that there's hands here that I don't like doing, and very full-on hands. They're a big part of the pose, and also feet which are turned over in all sorts of weird ways to get all sorts of weird angled toes going on. The model's lit sort of from the front and the side, with a shadow going off towards the right. You'll see as I put the background in, or indicate the background, that that's the case. Lots of erasing going on. As I say, I'm trying to be a bit more precise, rather than just leave all of the scratchy marks on that I normally would. I'm trying to do something that's a bit more polished. You can be the judge of whether it actually turns out to be more polished at the end or not. Using the side of the lead there, you can see, and the lead is quite a long way out of the gripper on the mechanical pencil, to get some subtle shading rather than too much scratchiness as I often get, especially when working small like this. Not very sensibly, I've left the head again, which is probably a difficult part. He's looking down really, so it's sort of looking at the top of his head, more towards the top of his head. But of course, when you're working like this, you should really start at the top, because you end up possibly smudging the stuff that you've done below as you're trying to reach the top. Quite nice to be using pencil again after using charcoal for quite such a while. Of course, I certainly wouldn't have been able to get the detail in a pose this small with charcoal. I'm trying to experiment with different media as I go, and do a few of that media, and then return to stuff that I've got used to before, so that I don't forget how to use any of them really. You see that I'm starting to build up the shadows on the right hand side of the body, his left, and the ones cast by the arm. I'm using the eraser from the set of Nik Pro pencils. There was 3 of them in the set, and they're really quite good erasers for erasing pencil. Been used to using putty rubber, of course, with the charcoals of late. Not quite got that foreshortened arm right yet, and I'll be returning to it throughout. In the end, it looks quite good, I think, not too bad. Now looking at doing the hands in a bit more detail, because they're very, very small to get too much detail on them. But as you'll see as I build them up, they end up looking quite human, which is great. The more you practice, the better you get. That's the plan anyway. Foreshortened arm again. It's getting there, I think, now. You can see that when you're working so small, I suppose that the drawing overall as a square is about 20 by 20 centimeters, maybe not even that, 15 by 15. But when you're working so small, the tiniest of marks. And it's difficult to erase stuff with the eraser, of course, that's tiny, to get any highlights. To the other hand. Trying to make the fingers not look too much like sausages, which when it's so small is a bit difficult. Now this awful upturned foot with a toe that's sort of pointing foreshortenedly towards us. Given up. I'll return to it now, look. And the other foot as well, which is just as foreshortened from a toe point of view. Of course, when it's so small, it's really about just indicating the shape, but when the shape's so distorted, it's quite difficult. Starting to put some shadows in now in the background to indicate where the light is coming from. I know we can see shadows on the body that I've already added. And finally, going up to the head, but as you can see, I'm in danger of smudging the stuff I've already done. Darkening the right hand side of the head, his left, to indicate again where the light's coming from, and the right hand side of the face in the picture. Nose wasn't quite central there. Again, the face is only a couple of centimeters square really, so the tiniest of marks to make the face look human. Starting to put the background shadow on. Build this up gradually just to make sure that I've got it in the right place before I go too harsh. You can certainly tell that it's one of my photos that I've taken of a model. I always use a back cloth which looks like curtains really, a light back cloth for these drawings and a white sheet to sit on, just indicating the folds of the backdrop without putting too much detail in. Well, this is the final drawing. Overall, I'm quite pleased with it. It took about 1 hour and 3/4, I think, this, which, considering it's so small, is quite a long time compared to the normal sketches that I've been doing recently, which have been about an hour or thereabouts. So I'm quite pleased with it overall. It's good to return to some life drawing after a little absence from it, doing portraits and using charcoal as well rather than pencil. It's another sketchbook page filled. I don't think I'm going to fill the sketchbook this year, but I've had a good stab at it. I think this is the 68th piece of work that I've done in 2023, which is mesmerizingly a lot compared to what I normally do. So the YouTube channel has certainly been inspiring me, and I'm hoping that the Patreon, if you've been watching the channel, I'm launching a Patreon in January, that will keep inspiring me, and we'll be able to get some artists on there and inspiring each other. That's the plan. I have already got one Patreon subscriber, so a shout out to Multicrons from Romania, who has become my first Patreon or patron. He's been helping me set it up behind the scenes and also populating it with some work so that when people join in January, there's something for people to look at and to get a feel of what the Patreon will become, hopefully. So thanks to him, very grateful, and hopefully it will take off, and there'll be lots of inspiration for all sorts of people that join that. Okay, well, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Do thumbs up the video if you've enjoyed it. And if you haven't subscribed and you're new here, then please do. That will really help the channel. The number of subscribers hasn't changed really in the last few weeks. So it'd be great if anybody watching this who hasn't subscribed can subscribe to get those numbers going up again. Okay, I'll see you on the next one. Thanks very much. Bye.